All right, so no Monday Night Football. Instead, we're talking playoff picture. Let's set the stage here. Let's start in the NFC. So in the NFC, the Packers are the 1 seed. They're off next week. The 2 seed is the Bucs. They will face the Eagles. We got Cowboys, Niners. Cowboys are the 3 seed, and then the Rams, Cardinals in the 4-5. What are your first instincts looking at that NFC playoff picture, Raheem?
I think when you look at the NFC playoff picture, it's pretty clear that things go through Green Bay. Lambeau is a tough place to play. They get the bye. As we always say on this podcast, the best way to make it to the Super Bowl is to have that bye week. We all know how those bye week teams perform in the divisional round and how they perform in the championship game. So I think things go through them. But when you look at the NFC, all of these teams are flawed. I think any one of these teams has a shot. So I'm really excited to see what happens. I have a few teams that I'm kind of leaning towards, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the game that I've really got my eye on for this round, I know we're going to come back to this one in the hot read, but I'm really watching the Cowboys 49ers. The Cowboys are your team. They were a team that I mentioned as a Super Bowl sleeper before the season. The Niners are my team now. The Niners are the team that I just wrote about last week as coming into week 18, a possible team to make a Cinderella run to the Super Bowl, maybe win the Super Bowl. Again, if the matchups switch a little bit here, Cowboys, Cardinals, Rams, Niners instead, pretty easy reads for me. I like both not the Cardinals and not the Rams. Instead, I like the Cowboys and the Niners both. These are both teams that in an open NFC, I wouldn't be surprised to see either one of those teams make the Super Bowl. But right now, one of them is going to get eliminated in the first round. The Cowboys defensive line is definitely a Super Bowl defensive line, the way that they're playing. But, that matchup is a real key because I think that the team that's most dangerous to the Packers is actually the 49ers. That's part of why I like the Niners futures here. I had them at plus 2,500 to win the NFC, plus 5,000 to win the Super Bowl. Heading into today, those numbers now at BetMGM are down to plus 1,400 to win the NFC, plus 2,500 Super Bowl. So I don't like the Super Bowl number there at plus 25 when you can get the 14-1 on NFC. I do still like that NFC number because that same thing we saw today. The Niners can run the ball and win the run game. That's even more important in the playoffs. And all of these NFC teams really are struggling to stop the run. Packers are bottom 5 run defense. That's a problem the Cowboys have. The Bucs have not been as strong against the run lately. And we don't believe a lot in the Rams or the Cardinals. So if the Niners win as the 6th seed, I don't see the Eagles beating the Bucs. So now the Niners go to Green Bay. I think that's a prime upset spot. If the Cowboys get that win instead, now the Packers are going to get the Rams or Cardinals. And that's a much, much better spot for Green Bay in that spot. Now Aaron Rodgers is sitting in the NFC Championship hosting at Lambeau, and you got a great chance to get there. So the Cowboys-Niners game to me is the pivotal one that will kind of determine where this bracket goes, I think.
I do think it's the pivotal one, and I think it has a lot to do with the 49ers. I think we both like the 49ers. We're both high on them, on their ability to run the ball, and they have a dominant pass rush. So for me, I'm not that high on the Cowboys. And I think the one thing that stands out to me is that since Dak Prescott has returned from his injury in week 9, and I'm just going to exclude week 18, just because we're playing an Eagles team that just didn't play anybody. The Cowboys are 16th in EPA per play. They're 21st in success rate. It's just like this offense really hasn't been. Yeah, it's just not going to get the job done. They're also 19th in dropback success rate. And look, we know this passing offense has been struggling, but the run game hasn't even been the same. They're 26th in rushing EPA per play. They're 27th in rushing success rate. You got Michael Gallup out, so that just takes one more weapon away from this offense. The running game hasn't been dominant. So you saw them against the Arizona Cardinals where you got a bottom 5 run defense and you can't capitalize it. And we just saw what Seattle did to that same run defense this week. So look, this is an offensive-minded league. And if your offense is struggling, it's tough for me to take you seriously. And then obviously, I don't think Mike McCarthy is out coaching anybody, any one of these coaches. And that includes Cliff Kingsbury. And we all know how Matt Mitchell feels about him. But they can arguably have the worst coach in the NFC playoffs at this point in time. So as much as I love my Cowboys and they are my favorite team in professional sports, I'm not that crazy about it.
Yeah, Dak Prescott is 0-3 against the spread in the playoffs too. So it does start to set up for a hot team in the Niners, a very good team that is going to be a tough matchup. Could be another one of those dream Cowboys seasons that peaked too early and ends on that first playoff game. So we'll talk about more about that one in our hot read. Let's look at the AFC. The Tennessee Titans, we mentioned them. They somehow got the 1 seed. They got the bye week. The Chiefs are the 2 seed. They play the Steelers, just demolished Pittsburgh only like 3 weeks ago. The 3 seed is the Buffalo Bills. They will play the Patriots now. So that was a tough loss for the Patriots today. Drops them down that slot there and makes a much worse matchup for them. And then the Bengals and the Raiders are the 4-5. That will be our opening playoff game on Saturday. A very Saturday afternoon opening playoff game if I ever seen one.
You know, the interesting thing is we have so many games that we've seen before. Like,
yes.
I mean, these are repeat games. I mean, the Bengals, obviously, they played the Raiders earlier this season. Pretty much dominant win. Obviously, the Bills and the Patriots are playing for the third time. Obviously, the Buccaneers and the Eagles are playing for the second time. It's just we got a lot of repeat matchups. We got the Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. So this is going to be an interesting playoff weekend because we actually have priors to go off for.
Yeah, the Cowboys,
we can actually go back and watch some tape.
Yeah, the Cowboys game against the Niners is the only new matchup that we haven't seen this season. We got 2 divisions and then 3 others that have played each other. So yeah, the Bengals Raiders, certainly not a playoff game I had on my bingo card for the season. I didn't have either of those teams even close to the playoffs coming in. So again, for me on this bracket, that 3-6 matchup is the kingmaker. So I've got my eye on Bills Patriots because the outcome of that one, I think, drastically swings how this bracket goes. So I like Buffalo in the AFC because of the matchups. I think Buffalo showed a few weeks ago that they're the better, more talented team than the Patriots. And now that's who they're playing. And the Bills, really, they built this roster to beat the Chiefs. And they did that earlier in the season. They built their defense. They built the way that they play to beat the Chiefs. And so what happens with the Bills? If the Bills win against the Patriots, then Buffalo goes and plays the Chiefs. Maybe they're the team that can knock the Chiefs out. I think they might be the only team that can really knock the Chiefs out, barring something crazy. But if the Patriots win instead, the Patriots as the 6th seed probably go to Tennessee. And you better believe, like, I'm all over New England in that game at Tennessee. They better not be giving Tennessee points on that one. Have you ever had a team get a bye week and then not be favored at home? Because we might have that in that scenario. And I think that if New England can beat Buffalo, the Patriots, as bad as they look today, it's Bill Belichick. The defense is very good. Let's not overreact to one game. They let it get away a little bit, but it's fine. They were in the playoffs already. Patriots plus 900 at BetMGM to come out of the AFC. There are some flawed teams here. I don't believe in the Titans. I don't believe in the Steelers or the Raiders. I don't really believe in the Bengals. If the Patriots knock out the Bills in their first game, they're really a Chiefs win away from maybe getting to the Super Bowl. So I think the Patriots are an interesting number there. We don't really get them at a plus 900 usually, but they could be alive. Do you think I'm crazy?
I do think you're crazy. I can't back Michael McCorkle and just in his first playoff scenario. I'm not that high on this team. I think, to me, I don't even see them going into Buffalo and winning that game. I think obviously the first game against Buffalo had a lot to do with the inclement weather that you saw and the winds and everything like that. But if they're forced to match point for point with Josh Allen, and obviously Josh Allen has had his struggles turning the ball over, but I'm not seeing it, honestly. And I just don't see the Patriots winning multiple road games with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, that's very fair. It's going to be a tough one, but to me, after the Chiefs and the Bills, I think the Patriots could be alive. And as much as I've dumped on them all year, if the bracket breaks right, and it might now, the Titans could have a shot here.
Yeah, I was about to say, actually, I think the Titans are more alive than people realize.
Yeah.
And if they get Derrick Henry back, I think they're scary because I look, when you have a team who can run the ball, and obviously Derrick Henry hasn't changed things that much, but obviously you got a healthy AJ Brown, you got Julio in the lineup. You have a team with an identity, and the defense has been playing a lot better. So, look, when you have a first round bye, I think that gives you an advantage over other teams. So, like you said, depending on how the matchup breaks, I think they have their lives to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, and again, to me, that's where that 3-6 matchup becomes really important, because if the Patriots win, now the Titans probably have to beat the Patriots and Bill Belichick, and then probably the Chiefs. I don't see the Titans winning both of those, but if the Bills win, now the Bills and the Chiefs, the two really good teams you don't want to play, and one of them is going to knock each other out, and the Titans get to sit at home as a rested team and play the Bengals or the Raiders. That's looking pretty good if you're Tennessee, to beat the Bengals or the Raiders, and now you're hosting the AFC Championship game. I still don't like them there, but you're one game away from the Super Bowl at that point. So I don't know that I would call the Titans dangerous per se, but they're not so far away. As much as we've dumped on them, the schedule, the way that this 4-5 matchup goes, if they can get the Chiefs and Bills on the other side of the bracket there, if they keep winning, the Titans are going to have a real chance here. So Saturday,
the Titans are just probably one of the weirdest teams that we've ever seen, because I mean, look, we forget that the Titans actually beat the Chiefs 27-3 1 week after beating the Bills 34-31 on Monday Night Football. So this team has wins against quality competition. Obviously, they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Bills, they beat the Rams, and they have losses against the Jets. So it's just like this team plays up or down to the competition. They even beat the 49ers. So this team, I don't think we can count this team out. And I think depending on the price, there's going to be some value in it.
Yeah, I had Tennessee as 6-2 against playoff teams, except that the 6 included 2 wins against the Colts. So now they're down to 4-2 against playoff teams. But we know the Colts are good, so we shouldn't discount those wins as we're thinking about that. However it works, Tennessee is getting the job done against some of these teams. So we'll see what happens. They're off next week. Here's how it sets up. Saturday, we got Cincinnati and Raiders kicking it off. We got Buffalo, New England in the night game. Sunday, we got 3 games. Tampa in the early one, Dallas, San Francisco in the afternoon, Chiefs and Steelers we saved for the night game. I'm not really sure why we chose that one. And then Monday night, our first ever Monday night playoff game is Rams Cardinals. So that is the week that we have to come. As we're looking at that week of games, let's head to our hot read and get one pick each on the record for the wild card round. You and I both love the same team here, and this shouldn't be a surprise if you've been listening. Raheem, what's your hot read for the wild card round?
I like the San Francisco 49ers. I believe this line is at +3, +3.5. I think you want to wait this one out, though, because, look, the public is going to be all over the Cowboys. They're seen as a lock. Obviously, they're coming off a dominant win over the Philadelphia Eagles, who really didn't play anybody. Look, this Cowboys defense it's obviously been one of the best in the league. You look at the third in EPA per play, third in success rate. But I'm not impressed with this offense. I gave you the numbers earlier. Weeks 9 through 17, 16th in EPA per play, just 21st in success rate. The run game is struggling. The passing game is struggling. And I just think this 49ers offense, they can control the clock. They can run the ball. They have a dominant defensive line. I think Kyle Shanahan is the more creative play caller. He's probably the better head coach in this matchup. So I'm going to wait this one out. And I'm going to be looking to take the 49ers at the most inflated line I can possibly get. I'm looking to play them on the money line, too, because I think they're going to win this game.
You know, Raheem is confident when he's playing the money line on the underdog. And I'm with you on this one. I've said a lot about the Niners. I've got an article up at actionnetwork.com. You can read about my position on the Niners futures here. This was part of the reason I like them in this matchup here. Kyle Shanahan as an underdog for his career, 25-17 against the spread, 60% cover rate. So it's been a good spot for him. You don't want him as a favorite. He's not going to be a favorite because they're going to be playing on the road in the playoffs. So that's part of what you like here. I agree. Big coaching advantage. We talked about this too. The Cowboys for the season are below average running the football on DVOA and below average stopping the run. And that's what the Niners are elite at. Dallas is not good at running the ball anymore, but doesn't seem to realize it and just keeps trying. Ezekiel Elliott's not coming through for them. I think they're going to waste a lot of plays trying to establish the run and play Cowboys football. It's not going to work against this Niners defense. The Niners are going to gash them with their run game. And I just think it's a great spot for them. One other reason I agree with you on why to wait here, though, I want to make sure Trent Williams is out there. Trent Williams is the MVP of this team, him and George Kittle, not Jimmy Garoppolo. I care much more. When the news came out today, Sunday afternoon, Jimmy Garoppolo is playing. Oh, by the way, Trent Williams is out. You get the wrong headline on that one. Trent Williams matters a lot more to me than even which quarterback in this game. So wait it out. Let's make sure Trent Williams is playing. I think that he will, but we don't know yet. So I want to wait and see on that one as well. You want to get above the key number, but I think it will stay above that because we know Dallas is going to get the money. And as I said before, Dak Prescott 1-2 in playoff games, 0-3 against the spread. It's a Cowboys thing. This is America's team. That line is going to be inflated. Garoppolo is actually 2-1 against the spread as well. So I'm with you. We like the 49ers. I'm sorry it has to be against your guys, the Cowboys, but it's a really good spot for San Fran.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement. At the end of the day, I love my Dallas Cowboys, but I love my bankroll more. There was a scene, and I think it's a Bronx Tale where he's talking to the kid, and it's just like, look, Mickey Mantle makes $100,000 a year. Why are you sad that the Yankees lost? At the end of the day, that's kind of how I feel about this. Look, the Cowboys don't pay my bills, so I'm loyal to my bankroll. So the 49ers go out there and crush them, and I got money on the 49ers, I'm a happy man.
That's right. Well, but I got my NDSU North Dakota State sweatshirt on. I made all my money I needed backing my Bison, our 9th national championship in 11 years. Luckily, I do not need to bet on my Vikings. We are safely out of the playoffs in this one. My hot read, I like the Niners too. That probably would have been my first pick. But since you got that one, I'm going to go with the Bucks. I like Tampa Bay a lot against the Eagles. It's a lot more fun having these 7 seeds in the playoffs. They're not very good, though. The Eagles are fine. They're not good. The Eagles started out 3-6. They finished 6-2, but against who? Washington twice in the COVID mess. The Giants twice, who are probably the worst team in football at the season end. And the Giants won one of those games. The Eagles played the Jets. They played the Lions. If you look at playoff teams, the Eagles are 0-6 against teams that made the playoff field. They've lost the game by 12 points per game in those 6 playoff team games. So one of those, of course, was against the Bucks, 28-22 on a Thursday night back in October, but it was 28-7 with 20 minutes left. Bucks were absolutely dominating. Eagles got a couple touchdowns in there, but they had a touchdown after a 45-yard defensive penalty, and the Eagles had a touchdown after a 50-yard defensive penalty. And that was basically all the Eagles did. 399 Bucks yards to 213 Eagles yards tells the story there. 40 minutes to 20 minutes time of possession. Those penalties are the only reason it was close. That line was -7, and it was in Philly. To me, that means this line should easily be double digits, should be like 12 or 13. I grabbed it at 7, 7.5 when it first came out. I think now it's at 8.5 or 9. I still like it. I like the Bucks. I don't think the Eagles have much of a chance, and we know it's a run team. So once the Bucks do get their lead, this is not a team that is going to be able to pass on the secondary and close the gap. So I think Tampa is going to get a pretty easy win here.
Yeah, I'm not mad at this pick at all. I mean, obviously Jalen Hurts has been banged up a little bit, and it pretty much took a miracle for this team to cover the last time they played. And we all know about the Buccaneers' road struggles. They're at home, so that won't be an issue here. The one question I do have for you is how much are you concerned about the Buccaneers without Chris Godwin, without Antonio Brown? Do you think that makes a difference?
I think it makes a difference, just not this week. I'm concerned about the Bucks. I wonder exactly, are we still living off of what this team did on last year's playoffs? Like big picture, I have some concerns. This is the Eagles. This is not the team that's going to push them. They don't have the passing game to hurt those corners that have been injured all season. Mike Evans, I was worried when he got hurt today, but he came back in and got a couple touchdowns. I have worries about Tampa Bay. I would like them in the NFC if I didn't have those worries, but I don't have worries about this game here. The other hot read that I thought about doing that I still like here, I like the Chiefs up against the Steelers, same sort of thing. We saw them blow the Steelers out. We know I've been back in Pittsburgh as an underdog all season, but I think, we saw last year Drew Brees made the playoffs and then retire in a pretty rough fashion. I remember the old Dan Marino game against the Jaguars.
62-7.
62-7. That's right. You remember the score too. I think that's what we're going to get from Big Ben here. I think the Chiefs are going to put him in mothballs and maybe make the Steelers fans sort of wish that Sunday night actually ended in a tie and they could just go out thinking about all the wonderful things Big Ben did these last couple of weeks, I think it's going to be ugly. So, those are the 2-7 games. I just like the 2 seeds there. They're just far better teams. They were the favorites all season. Congrats to Pennsylvania. You got your teams into the playoffs, but I think it's going to be a very short stay for both.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. I think you got to be looking to play the Chiefs in any manner that you can possible. Like, and I'm typically not a fan of teasing down from 12 and a half down, but I think this is a situation where I think it warrants it. Like the Steelers, they can't stop the run. Look, even on that 4th and 8 that we saw today, it felt like Big Ben was lucky to get the ball 8 yards down the field.
It's like
So
a Hail Mary, basically.
yeah, so it's just like I just think they're in a bad situation. Look, it was great that they put up the effort to get Big Benjamin into into the playoffs in his final year, but
Yeah.
they're gonna get taken into the deep waters and drown, as I always say. So I really like that pick. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if I trust the Rams to be laying 4.5 points. I didn't list this stat earlier when we spoke about the 49ers game, but Stafford versus winning teams are 31-50-2. That's 38% against the spread. That includes the loss against the 49ers. Against on the money line, the 26-57, that's 31%. So this line is going up to 4.5. And I'm going to be looking to probably take the Arizona Cardinals in this matchup. I know it's Cliff Kingsbury on the opposite end, but these are 2 divisional teams that know each other. Kyler Murray is going to be able to negate some of that pass rush with Aaron Donald and Von Miller because of his ability to run the ball. And I like their chances in this one. So that's a dog that I'm looking at early.
All right, a couple underdogs for you. We will talk about all of these matchups more on Friday, of course, when we get to our other podcasts this week. That is going to wrap it up today at the Action Network podcast. Don't forget to rate and review both Apple and Spotify now. If you could, please, 5 stars, give us those ratings and reviews. We'll have the same podcast schedule all throughout the playoffs still. So Raheem and I are here on Monday morning to talk about all the games from the weekend. Stucky and Raybon Wednesday nights to get you with their NFL 6-pack betting guide. Raheem and I are back Friday, a little bit different format. Basically, we'll just go through the playoff slate and talk about all 6 games. You got a little preview there of what we thought about them. We'll have more for you, I'm sure, on Friday, get you ready for the playoff weekend. For Raheem Palmer, I'm Brandon Anderson, and this has been the Action Network podcast. We're on to the playoffs.